Tower of God, Dungeons and Dragons. This Thursday, episode 3 of our new series, Towers and Gods, is going live at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Even if you're not caught up yet, you should still tune in, see if you like the format, and of course you can check out the playlist here for all of our recent episodes. We're just now getting to learn about this second floor of the tower. Of course, this is 15,000 years before the current events in the story of Tower of God, so everything's gonna be different. There's a new ruler of the floor. There's a lot going on here that I think you'll like if you wanna come check out the series. So if you wanna check out Towers and Gods, check the link here or click the link down below. Now, when I say Hwaryun is a daughter of Enryu, I don't mean it literally. I don't mean that Enryu is legitimately like her father and we're gonna get this dramatic scene where it's like, oh my gosh, Hwaryun! It's like, no. I'm saying that Hwaryun and her race essentially originated from Enryu. Now, I'm by no means the first person who created this theory. However, I do think I've compiled a decent bit of evidence that may suggest that Hwaryun is connected to Enryu. In fact, I think it's beyond a doubt. So the first thing is the fact that Hwaryun has red hair and red eyes. Now, Enryu also has red hair. Do we know that Enryu has red eyes? We actually do, because Enryu has appeared in some other sort of spin-off games of Tower of God. He's been featured in a couple of, basically collaborations with Tower of God, and in those collaborations, he does indeed have red eyes. Of course, this is like a theme in Tower of God. Usually, if the character has yellow hair, like Wangnan, they're gonna have yellow eyes. It's kind of like, a theme. Kun, blue and blue. It's pretty common for that to be the case, right? So even if we didn't know this, we have to assume he has red eyes. This is interesting because this red hair and red eyes, basically, they make up Enryu and Hwaryun's beauty, right? Or the fact that Enryu is super handsome. And if you didn't know, SIU has actually stated that Enryu is considered to be the most handsome guy in the tower. Now, where have you heard that phrase before, but you twist the words a little bit? Because SIU also stated that Hwaryun is the most beautiful woman in Season 1, or he said that during Season 1. That's weird. It's weird because these are the only two characters that he's made such a blanket statement about their appearance, right? He's never said, Kun is the most handsome guy in Season 2. He's never said that, right? He's only remarked on the appearances of Enryu and Hwaryun, at least to this extent. Now, this might not seem like a big deal. Maybe it's just a coincidence. However, I want to point out that when he was talking about Hwaryun, SIU, he specifically said that the fact that she's this beautiful is a foreshadowing. What? So the fact that Hwaryun is beautiful is apparently important. Why would it be important if it didn't have to do with perhaps a family relation, right? Now, it might not have to do with a family relation. It could be something we discover down the line, like perhaps her beauty comes from the gem of, I don't know. But I think it would make sense if this is some kind of connection to the most handsome guy in the tower, right? There's no proof that red witches existed before Enryu. So you might be wondering, okay, so what's the theory then? You've remarked on the appearances of these two. How are they actually connected? Now, I'm not saying, like I mentioned before, that Enryu is legitimately the birth father of these red witches, right? Maybe these women existed before, but they just weren't red witches, right? Here's the thing. Floor of Death, Enryu shows up, and he basically just wipes out Jihad's forces that are on the floor because they were desecrating Arlen's basically sacred place. That was the home of Arlen and V. That's where Bon was born, etc., etc., and he didn't like how Jihad's people were handling it, and so he killed them all. Now, what's weird about this is the exact same floor that the Red Witches have this very special pilgrimage to. They take a pilgrimage, every Red Witch, to Galstone Village, and there's even some Red Witches that permanently live there, like Ai. By the way, Ai is one of the most underrated best girls. She doesn't do anything, but she's so freaking cute. Now, what's strange about this pilgrimage is the fact, of course, that the Floor of Death is connected to Enryu and deeply connected to the Red Witches because this isn't just a pilgrimage that they take. In fact, in the comic, it's stated that these Red Witches rely on special memories that have been passed down by their ancestors to basically find the whereabouts of the Galstone village. So they know where to go because they have special memories that are passed down from their ancestors. That doesn't sound like a normal thing. This is weird. This is weird, and there's something going on. But let's also take a look at the special ability of red witches, at least many of them, the ones that we know of. They become guides. A lot of them become guides because they have this ability to see fate. Now, silver dwarves like Evan and Lumik, they can see crossroads, which operates differently. It's more of like an immediate future, but Hwaryun and the Red Witches, they can see far into the future. They can see glimpses of what can come, and of course they can use this ability to navigate and be basically a human GPS, as SIU has said. The weird thing about this ability is there's another ability that is very similar, and it's connected to Enryu. When Enryu was doing his whole shebang thing and he was killing everybody, someone gazed upon Enryu, a high ranker. This high ranker was Grand Deja. Bet you didn't think I'd bring him up this video. Grand Deja gazed upon Enryu and his eyes changed. They changed so much just upon gazing at him and his glory and his power, and the eyes gained the power to see the future. Of course, these eyes eventually became Hockney's eyes after the whole thing went down with Hockney. Maybe I'll make a Hockney lore video at some point. But this is more than just a coincidence, right? Enryu gifted someone the ability to see what is essentially fate, right? Now, it's only a few seconds, sure, but that's still fate. Like, that's still seeing the future. And that's exactly what the Red Witches do. And on top of that, to prove that it's connected to fate, when Hockney encountered Data Jihad on the hidden floor, his eyes went wonky. He started getting like a migraine, and he was like, I can't see. You know, he was having like a terrible time just being in proximity with Jihad, someone who also has the ability to see fate. Not to mention he's an irregular, and we know that Red Witches like So-Oh have this similar migraine, or they have problems with their power when around other irregulars. So-Oh has a hard time using her ability around Bomb, who is also an irregular. So Hockney has problems around Jihad, an irregular who can see fate, okay? There's a lot going on there. And So-Oh has problems around Bomb, who's an irregular, and So-Oh can see fate. Is this just a coincidence, or is there a connection here? I think the answer is pretty obvious. So somehow, Enryu gifted this ability to other inhabitants of the Floor of Death, and maybe these inhabitants' descendants started to showcase this red hair. Maybe Enryu's powers got marked into their DNA, and their children became the Red Witches. There is no proof that the Red Witches existed before Enryu, at least as far as I can tell. We only know about I and So-Oh and Hwaryun. We don't really know if other Red Witches have existed before Enryu. And of course, this whole thing with the Arlen altar happened a long time ago anyway, so I think it's very possible that the Red Witches originated after the incident with Enryu on the Floor of Death. Okay, that was my main chunk. Like, that right there seems pretty compelling. You have to admit it's at least possible. There's still a couple things, a couple minor hints that perhaps can lead to Enryu. We know Enryu is practically the most powerful wave controller in the tower. We don't really know what Pentaminum can do. He's an Axis, he doesn't count. Enryu is the most powerful wave controller. He can control over 9,000 bangs. And, you know, Hwaryun and So-Oh are both wave controllers. They're both gifted with Shinsu, right? Now, Hwaryun hasn't exactly used it a whole lot. She failed on the second floor, but she can still climb because she's a guide and she's cheating, whatever. But the thing is, Enryu's also a powerful wave controller. I don't know. Okay, this point is pretty weak, but I thought I'd point it out. They both use Shinsu really well. The other thing is that Enryu is called the Messenger of God, of course referencing the outside God. He's considered the Messenger of God. I thought this was similar to Hwaryun's role. She's essentially not really a messenger of Bomb, but she is Bomb's partner and basically his assistant throughout his journey up the tower and also his role as a slayer or god of Fug. Messenger of God, servant of God, whatever you want to call it, I feel like the role of Enryu to the outside god is similar to the role of Hwaryun to the outside god, especially considering Bomb and the outside god are connected, considering the outside god resurrected Bomb. This last point, I'm gonna see if I can convince you with this one. Hwaryun, the name Hwaryun, translates to roughly Inferno Wheel from Korean to English. Inferno Wheel. Sounds strange, maybe wheel because, I don't know. But the Inferno part interests me because Enryu, of course, uses red Shinsu, blah blah blah. But the Floor of Death and the Hell Train and Hell Joe, it all references like Inferno and fire and hell, which is of course the Inferno, right? I feel like there's gotta be a connection there. Enryu's presence on the Floor of Death, which is of course some place you can reach with the Hell Train, and Floor of Death, I feel like it's sometimes called Hell Floor. Some people call it that sometimes, at least in the community. And Hwaryun's name is Inferno Wheel, right? Almost like Hell Wheel or something similar. So maybe there's a connection there, I don't know, I'll let you decide. Thanks for watching, everyone, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did and have other thoughts, leave a comment down below, like the video, subscribe for more Tower of God content, and like I mentioned at the start of the video, we have more Towers and Gods coming this Thursday, so much fun. Dude, I don't know, like, it's the most fun I have on this channel by far, is Towers and Gods, so hopefully you can make it Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. With that being said, I'll see you in my next Tower of God theory video. Take care.